Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to this new episode of Sudan in Focus weekly news magazine, which focuses on Sudan news and events, aims to give the Sudan TV audience a broad and first-hand information about what is going on in Sudan. So let's go.
The chairman of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, emphasized the depth and strength of the bilateral relations between Sudan and Libya, underscoring their eternal nature. In a press conference following bilateral talks, al-Burhan highlighted the importance of developing and enhancing these relations in all fields, emphasizing the historical cooperation, communication, love, and brotherhood between the two nations. The leaders agreed to strengthen relations in various economic, political, and military fields, acknowledging Libya's supervisory role towards Sudan and its people. Al-Burhan emphasized activating previous mechanisms to strengthen and develop cooperation and coordination between the two countries, with the focus on rebuilding without negative external interventions. He expressed gratitude to the Libyan government and people for welcoming Sudanese war refugees, facilitating their entry, and providing free health care and education. Al-Burhan congratulated the Libyan people and resistance on their victory on February 17, urging unity to preserve this success and revive their state. Al-Burhan extended condolences for the lives lost in the floods in Derna, Libya, noting that such disasters strengthen the bonds among the Libyan people. On the Libyan side, President of the Presidential Council, محمد المنفي, expressed full Libyan support for Sudan's unity and integrity of its territories. He commended the efforts of the Transitional Sovereignty Council and its government in supporting stability in Sudan. Al-Manfi affirmed their complete endorsement of the outcomes of the Jeddah meetings in May as a crucial step towards ending conflict and ensuring Sudan's stability. He emphasized the importance of reconciliation, national unity, the territorial integrity of Libya, and avoiding external political or military interventions. Highlighting Libya's own past struggles and negative impacts of external interventions, Al-Manfi stressed their support for Sudan's participation in regional and economic organizations such as the Arab League and the African Union. He underlined the significance of enhancing distinguished bilateral relations between the two countries, considering the geographical proximity and shared borders. His Excellency Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, head of the Sovereignty Council, arrived in Cairo for an official visit to the sisterly Arab Republic of Egypt. During the visit, he held official talks with his counterpart, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and senior Egyptian officials. Ambassador Muhammad Abdullah Tom, acting head of the Sudanese embassy in Cairo, clarified that the discussions focused on the developments in Sudan internal situations in light of the rebellion by the Arab Support Forces militia and the state efforts to confront and combat its war against the country, including the crimes and atrocities committed against civilians. The visit also explored ways to enhance and develop bilateral relations between the two countries, in addition to discussing regional and international issues of common interest. Ambassador Tom added that the visit comes within the context of the ongoing communication between the two leaderships of both countries, emphasizing their commitment to continuous consultation and dialogue on matters of mutual concern. This is due to the distinguished bilateral relations and the shared bonds of blood, geography, and history between the Sudanese and Egyptian people. He noted that the warmth and positive reception received by Sudanese delegates during their recent visit to Egypt underscored this special relationship. The ambassador highlighted that the visit reaffirmed Sudan's recognition of the importance of its relations with Egypt, expressing a keen interest in developing cooperation in various fields. Egypt, given its strategic and security depth, regional and international weight, and its efforts to restore stability and security in Sudan, holds a genuine interest in the stability and security of its neighbor. It's known that Egypt based on this understanding, led and organized the first summit of neighboring countries in July last year, resulting in a mechanism aimed at addressing the crisis in Sudan.
My name is Jidone.
The Vice Chairman of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, Malik Agar, said, as part of my visit to the Republic of Rwanda, I visited along with my delegation the Genocide Museum in the capital Kigali, where the Ambassador of Rwanda to Sudan, Mr. Abdo Bango, gave us an explanation about the details of the genocide in Rwanda. Ambassador Ali Sadiq, in an interview, said the Sudanese diplomacy, faced with the war imposed on the country, swiftly responded by presenting a unified voice to the world. From day one, it communicated the resilience and unity of the Sudanese state, especially amid attempts to dismantle it, he said. Ali Sadiq added all Sudanese missions abroad representing national institutions, including the armed forces and the diplomatic entities, echoed a unified stance. Responding to a question, how did the Ministry of Foreign Affairs tackle this challenging situation, he said, under the guidance of the Sovereignty Council, Sudan's diplomacy initiated immediate communication with allies, clarifying the reality of the situation in the country. This provocative approach proved crucial, preventing a scenario witnessed in other nations where diplomatic divisions weakened legitimacy. Despite economic hardships and disrupted financial transfer, Sudanese diplomacy efficiently continued its operations, he added. The Minister of Foreign Affairs said the Sudanese diplomacy successfully concluded the mission of the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy, Volker Perthes, and peacefully ended the mandate of the UNITAM's mission. This demonstrated effective engagement with the international community, preventing attempts to undermine Sudan's sovereignty. Additionally, Sudan regained its membership in the UN Human Rights Council, thwarting British attempts to investigate human rights in the country. The foreign minister said, contrary to perception, Sudan is not isolated. The international community increasingly understands the reality of Sudan's situation. Engagement in various international forums such as the UN General Assembly and regional summits reflect broader support. He said key international and regional organizations, including the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, have taken reasonable stance enhancing global understanding of Sudan's crisis. Muhammad al-Amin Tirik, the leader of the Sudanese Popular Front, expressed his support for the Egyptian Community Initiative to resolve the Sudanese crisis sponsored by the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Tirik stated that the initiative aligns with the desires of the Sudanese people, addressing their primary issues. Come on! 10 months has elapsed since the outbreak of the war in Sudan, although the war waged by the Janjaweed militia had its consequences both regionally and internationally, but the efforts to halt it seems to be lacking integrity and interest. There is a number of regional and international organizations involved in addressing the crisis in Sudan. Aside from the United Nations, several regional organizations in which Sudan holds membership, including the African Union, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, and the Arab League, have responded to the crisis in different ways. Regional organizations have been more active in undertaking mediation efforts, but for sure none was able to put something genuine in the table. That was so because of the conflicting agenda among its member states. On the day following the eruption of the crisis, IGAD appointed a high-level mediation delegation led by South Sudanese President Salva Kiir Mayardit. An IGAD quartet comprising Kenya, Chad, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and South Sudan have tried to get the head of the Sovereignty Council and the Janjaweed chief to meet face-to-face and cease hostilities, while the AU established an extended mechanism for the crisis involving various regional and external actors. Both organizations have determined separate roadmaps for the resolution of the crisis, and both of them fall short from proceeding with their initiatives. That was due to logical, compiling reasons. The AU has considered since 2020 to suspend Sudan's membership after the head of the military dissolved the FFC government due to much disagreement over handling the civilian-military partnership. A quartet made up of the leaders of Kenya, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Djibouti was appointed to seek a ceasefire, humanitarian access, and political dialogue in order to resolve Sudan's transition to democracy. The IGAD ignored Sudan's reservation on Kenya's presiding over the quartet. Kenya's president is a close business partner to the Janjaweed leader, hence he is taking side in a manner that contradicts the principle of balance, integrity, and impartiality in mediation. That insistence to give an ally to the militia the upper hand in the search for peace against the will of a full member state give negative signs and put the organization impartiality at stake. So Sudan decided to cease dealing with the IGAD and its peace initiative. The US and Saudi Arabia, from their part, seem to have failed to convince the militia to implement what have been agreed upon in Jeddah. They still call for another round of talks without clarification on the fate of the agreement of principle formally signed. They have also made efforts to bring the United Arab Emirates on board, which is significant because the UAE is seen as the major backer of the RSF militia, and according to some reports, continue to arm them. The United Arab Emirates has to prove its neutrality by refraining from siding with the notorious Janjaweed militia, if they are keen to be part of any genuine peace process. What is very impressive, the call for including the civilian in the negotiations. This call opened the debate over the role of the FFC in siding with the militia. The Sudanese accuses the leaders of some of the civilian parties of siding with Janjaweed militia, referring to the Forces for Freedom and Change, who used to show enmity against the armed forces. Fairly enough to say that an inclusive political process is necessary in the medium run, but stopping the war and halting the hostilities is the first priority. After achieving peace and restoring tranquility in Sudan, such dialogues seem to require bringing civilian representatives together and giving them enough political backing so that they have real leverage in the talks as part of the efforts to ensure that Sudan returns to the path of real democracy. It's widely believed that multiple parallel efforts to address the crisis have raised fears of duplication and incoherence. To me, the peace from within is better, since any outside power intervention is aimed at achieving its interest. So it is high time that the Sudanese people should address their problems and try to mend the broken pieces of their country. How is a question that needs to be answered by us all, without exception or exclusion.
The Sudan Seaports Corporation is the main governmental body that is responsible for building, operating, and managing ports and port services. It was established in 1974, and before it was founded, the Port of Sudan was early operation as it was opened in 1909. Sudan has a coastline along the Red Sea, which stretches 380 miles. Some important Sudanese ports are located here. These include Othman Digna ports, which replace the old coral-affected Sawakin ports or safe ports, Al-Zubayr Muhammad Saleh ports near Wadi Halfa, and lastly, the port of Sudan. The ports provide full-time navigation to nearby lighthouses, clean drinking water, medical and aid and quarantine facilities are also available. Port Sudan is the main seaport of Sudan, located on the western coastline along the Red Sea. It's also another important trade center, Jeddah and Saudi Arabia. Port Sudan exports Arabic gum, oil seeds, animal hides and skin, senna, and the major imports include machines, pesticides, and building materials such as cement. The port's importance grew when an 850-meter-long oil pipeline was built in 1977 to transfer oil to and from the port and the capital, Khartoum. Port Sudan is divided into 4 zones areas. Number 1, the South Port, the Green Port or the Green Harbor, Al Khair Terminal, Marsa Bashair Export Terminal. Individually, we can talk about the major ports. First of all, ports of Othman Digna. The Othman Digna port is in the ancient town of Sawakin and it's just 60 kilometers away from Port Sudan. It has 9 berths which are 750 meters long and its annual capacity 3 million tons. It's mainly used by passengers. It also deals with livestock, asphalt, cement and dry bulk cargo. Our safe port. This port is not in working condition now. However, it's situated 250 kilometers away from Port Sudan. It's used for exporting iron ore. Al-Zubayr Muhammad Saleh Wadi Halfa port. It's a small port situated on the river Nile near the Sudan-Egypt border. It's used by passengers and also for trading purposes. Kosti port. It's 400 kilometers from Khartoum city, the capital, and serves a dry port and a logistic depot. These multiports in Sudan absolutely make Sudan one of the important countries in the world of sea marine directions. This is the major port in Sudan and it's a very important marine gate for African, Asian and other global countries through exportation and imports.
A place once bright with life, hollow and haunted by the shadow of war. The only way for us to get here is in an armored vehicle. This one has taken its fair share of hits. A bullet aimed at the driver's head, trapped by the thick glass. The damage through the splintered windshield looks extreme, and in full view, the horror is complete. Only the force of war can obliterate like this. Collapse, rupture, and burn all at once, with lives forever changed in its wake.
This is Sudan, one of the most iconic marketplaces in the capital, if not the country. Used to be this bustling sight of people pouring out of storefronts that have been owned for generations. And this is what's left of it. Bullet holes through buildings, shelled balconies, bullet cases on the floor, unexploded ordnance. It's just a wasteland. Unbelievable to think that this is what's left of a place that many people from Sudan remember so fondly.
We're told the Battle of Sudan ended little over a week ago, but fighting continues on its fringes. With every crossroad a reminder that snipers are still a threat. I ask how far the nearest enemy position is. I'm told around 800 meters away.
So after being told that the front lines are far off, we're now being ushered away after hearing very close gunfire.
There are no front lines in this conflict, only neighborhood battlegrounds. Pockets of fighting between the army and the rapid support forces that grow or shrink on any given day. This is the culmination of months of urban warfare, a historic site left in ruins, largely cleared but barely walkable, evidence of the army's slow southward push deeper into the occupied capital, where more death and destruction awaits. We head back to northern Omdurman, where there is life but immeasurable loss.
The war, it changed the people, and it changed the map of our life. And we can't even to think. We just want peace, want this war to stop.
While life here seems to continue as normal, the safety is relative. Are you used to these sounds, I ask?
When the bombing would happen, I used to get scared, and then I got used to it. But there was such intense sounds coming out of Omdurman at one point that I felt like my ear had been ripped out.
Their family and friends have fled their homes, but these walls give them sanctuary and relief. As the places they know and love crumble, each prayer fuels their hope for peace.
Three Filipino nurses working at Alia's hospital in Omdurman arrived in Port Sudan this week after spending nearly 10 months trapped inside the military hospital compound in Omdurman. Filipino nurses spoke to national television about their suffering and the crimes committed by the Rapid Support Militia in the city of Omdurman.
When the war started, it was on 15 April 2023. And, on 15 April 2023, and yeah, since then I am there at the hospital. I'm working there. We heard the bombing and the gunshots, and then there is a patients coming from the ER, and we don't know what happened on that time. So we are thinking we will go to our accommodation or we will stay in the hospital. So some of them tell us that we will stay in the hospital because it is safe than from the accommodation. That was happened. They bombed Aliyah. The first bomb in the Aliyah is on 1 of August 2023, and I was afraid of that. So all the people go down in the ground floor. I witnessed some patients come in the ER. Some are raped, and the cleaner of us, they go inside in the house and he shoot. And then they bring the patient, and it was already passed in the ER. Last month, there was a patient from the street, and then the military pick up her from Shara, and then they bring it in Aliyah, and we asked what happened to her. The RSF raped them, and after that they shoot. Then we treat the patients, we do the operations. After that, the patient died.
We witnessed some of them like became a victim of bomb. Even we have one colleague of us, God bless his soul, our colleague, he got bombed while he's jambal Aliyah inside. Lakin the problem is the bomb kida jam in his place. Guys, and then we did operation also for him, all of us, and then already also he passed away. So internationally, bombing hospitals is illegal. Internationally. But that's why we cannot understand why they are bombing specifically the Aliyah hospital. We don't know if we are their target or sila. We don't know which their target, but they are hitting hospital a lot of times.
And that time we don't know, really kida, we don't have any inclination that this war will have to happen. And that time we are coming on a normal days. Then we heard gunshot, we hear the bombings, and then that is the time that we know that the war started. And we don't even have anything with us, just our things when we started to work. Then days time, we think just it will just come after 1 week only, it will pass, or 1 month. Then we don't think that this war will continue. We have no anything, food, just the supply from the hospital. Then, from the time that, it takes like months, the food running out. Then, that madida, asida, that is what we are eating. And all the hospital staff, we are starving. People are coming with decapitated leg, arms, eyeball is out. That thing that you could only see in the movie. This thing happened in Sudan. So really kida, like we don't even kida think that we can experience this thing in an outside in our country. And you know that feeling that kida, this is real. This is like we are on a modern era, in a computer era, but thing happened. Electricity was cut, no connection of internet, no food coming. How we feel that in a country where we used to see as all the people is nice, and then this is it. And coming from the Muslim killing their own Muslim people.
I actually doesn't work in Aliyah, but I joined my wife there because I cannot live it there. This war was really.
The husband of a nurse at Aliyah Hospital said the war had been painful for him and he hoped peace would soon come to Sudan.
18 years. I love Sudanese, I love Sudan. And we have seen so many worst things that we haven't saw in our life. Atrocities committed by the other party, and we were just wondering why they have targeted civilians. They targeted hospitals. Supposedly they should not be doing that. I've seen things that I have never imagined seeing. Civilians, most especially civilians. And we were lucky. Yesterday we were able to get out of the hospital. Although that 30 minutes of travel was the most scariest moment of our lives, because you don't know what will happen. Maybe bomb will fall, or maybe the snipers will try to hit us. It was really scary, but inshallah we were able to get out of the danger zone into White Saidna, and then from White Saidna they helped us. The commander-in-chief there in White Saidna, he treated us very well, fed us, and then they gave us a bus transport going in Port Sudan.
Sudanese cuisine. Meals are eaten around a large tray around which family members and anyone else who wants to eat gather around. Sudanese people are very hospitable by nature, and food is usually eaten with the right hand. Food in Sudan is diverse, just like it is geography and culture. And the central region of Sudan is considered the most diverse and colorful in its cuisine and in the customs and traditions that accompany table manners, because it is a melting pot in which different Sudanese cultures and peoples. Mulukhia, or in Sudanese colloquial language called khudra, it is one of the favorite meals of the Sudanese people. It is chopped and spread in the shade in a well-ventilated place until it dries and then cooked. Sudanese porridge meal, it consists of flour, milk, a cup of water and salt, and is left in the fire until it thickens. Kisra is a type of bread or loaf made of corn, and it is one of the popular meals in Sudan. The trotter's meal consists of buffalo and cow feet and can be prepared in 5 steps. Each 100 grams of trotters contains 325 calories. Sudanese baked meal, the flour is kneaded with water and a little salt, then chop the nibber with a hand grinder. Mash the bananas, then add sweet and honey, 2 spoons of sugar and 1 spoon of ghee. Knead all the ingredients, then add the raisins. The Sudanese agache meal consists of boneless meat, which is lightly ground and then seasoned with some spices, such as ginger, pepper, and cinnamon, mixed with ground peanut with some ground dry bread in order to attach the meat to the barbecue. Then it is placed on medium heat until mature. Peel the eggplant, cut it into circles, then fry it in oil and place it on dry paper until it absorbs the oil after frying. Place the fried eggplant in a bowl, then mash it, add garlic and lemon juice and mix. Chop chili pepper, peanut, yogurt, pepper and cumin. Sudanese cuisine is known for its many and varied meals due to the diversity of its ethnic, cultural, and geographical components. Sudanese meals are famous for their special taste that differs from other people's meals.